Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm so excited to host you today for our Fireside chat. Our topic is med-free brain. And if you're new to our Fireside chats, I just would like to share with you the foundation for what we're doing. To me, it's really, really important that we understand as American healthcare consumers how we can change the way we consume healthcare. And so I would like to change our healthcare system, but I realize that first we need to even know what's out there. And so to that end, I'm excited to bring on board Aspen, who is going to share with us a little bit about her journey. This is the cover of her book called Med-Free Bipolar. Oops, let me make that bigger. Aspen. Med-Free Bipolar. This book came to me at the right perfect time in my life. It's a best-selling book, and she penned it. And besides this, she has many other accomplishments, including that she is a Businesswoman of the Year award. She's also a mother. Aspen, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids. They are 13, 16, and 17. And hopefully I don't know if my timing is synced up with your timing, so there might be a little bit of lag.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, that's all right. Stop talking.
Oh, sorry, I muted you again. I'll stop talking in just a minute. But before I do, I just wanted to tell everyone that I have used this book that Aspen has written in order to change a lot of the things in my life that I needed to change at a very pivotal time period for me. And so some of you on the call, you've already heard me talk about Aspen and her book. And so I'm super, super pleased to turn the time over to her. And Aspen, will you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure, Rebecca. Well, some of you have read the book. The nice thing is it's not a memoir, because most of us don't want to relive the trauma that we've already lived through. So there's a lot of my story that I didn't share in the book. I wanted to share things that were relatable and really just focus on the future. So I encourage people, if you're looking into doctors or counselors or peer coaches like myself. I can't hear you, Rebecca.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just nodding my head.
Oh, okay. You look really funny on my screen. You're like all slow-mo. So to really look for like a forward-focused practice. So, and there might be some problem on my end with the internet, because we're a little bit rural here where I live. But when you're interviewing practitioners, I encourage people, like, say they want to give you a diagnosis of something, ask them how many people they've seen recover. Because if they haven't seen anyone recover, then you might want to find someone else. So
awesome.
And I'm not getting your sound. Okay.
I'm so
excited. I wholeheartedly believe in finding what works for you and knowing all of your options. For example, I had a doctor who said I had some gallbladder issues and stones, and he wanted to remove my gallbladder. And I said, yeah, no, I'll fix that naturally. And he said, that's not possible. And I said, watch me. So that was 4 years ago. I still haven't had my gallbladder removed like he recommended. So haven't had any problems since I did the gallbladder cleanse and some other natural remedies that I found. So never underestimating the power of choice and the power of doing thorough research. I honor the fact that I got to go to the doctor and get an accurate diagnosis. That was very helpful in my journey. So sometimes we can use a combination of Western and alternative methods. I'm just worried that I can't hear you, Rebecca, at all.
Oh, here I go now.
Here I go now.
I just
Okay.
Sorry, question. I'm slow on the draw. Okay. So I was just gonna ask, along the lines of what you're talking about, as soon as I posted this event, and was, telling people about it, we got a little bit of back and forth, kind of some heat, from people that were saying, I have very strong feelings about just being not medicated. So can you speak a little bit about, to the idea that what you're doing is more than just not medicating? There's like all these natural things that you're doing to support your brain.
Absolutely. So I kind of categorize several different things. There's medication. Sorry, that's my son in the background. There's medication options. There's unmedicated. There's self-medicated, and there's med-free. So when I talk about being med-free, it actually means free of the need of medication. Now, I am naturally medicated. So I use supplements, I use things that are helpful in my journey, things that we have found that worked. So I believe it's not okay to just be unmedicated for anything and suffer with symptoms. So suffering with symptoms is a lot different than being unmedicated or self-medicated. A lot of times people with mental health issues gravitate towards drugs or alcohol or marijuana, things that mask symptomology. We don't want to mask symptoms with medication or with any substance, legal or illegal. So even dependency on something good is not always good. So for example, you may have heard of something called scurvy. Well, scurvy was an epidemic, and it was a medical mystery. For 264 years, scurvy was treated with pharmaceuticals. There were entire pharmaceutical industries at the time that made money on a scurvy prescription drug. It was better than letting them just suffer with all of the symptoms of scurvy. Maybe it helped them save some teeth. Maybe it helped some of the skin issues. Maybe it helped relieve the pain. That was not a bad thing. The bad thing becomes when pharmaceutical companies or an industry try to keep you, the consumer, from knowing all of your options. So that's what Med-Free Bipolar is really about. I mean, this book is about you knowing all your options and knowing that just like vitamin C became the cure for scurvy, if you remove the scurvy, if you remove the vitamin C, the scurvy will come back. So is it a cure? Is it a permanent cure or not? That's what I get asked a lot, because I still have to take certain nutrients in to keep the symptoms from coming back. So I don't look at it as a permanent cure so much as an effective cure. So an effective natural cure is not the same as going unmedicated. And at our Aspen Brain Health nonprofit, we help people transition carefully. Some people choose to use a combination of medication and med-free options. Some people want to completely eliminate medication. It's always about your choice, your goals, not my agenda, not my preference, it's about you. It's about you and your choices, your goals, your options, and you get to pick.
That's awesome. So you just mentioned the clinic where you work. That you set up, right? Like you're the creator of, what do you call yourself? A neuro-coach?
Well, so I created a neuro-coaching certification course for other people. I got credentialed through the Dr. Amen clinics as a certified brain health coach, but I'm also I don't bill through Medicaid, but I am also trained as a certified peer support specialist. So just kind of going on to get training to help other people. So credentialing, I am not a doctor. I'm not a licensed counselor. I am a ministerial counselor in like pastoral counseling credentials and have gone to ministry school and things like that. But I stay away from state credentials. If I stay away from state credentials, they can't take them away from me, and I get to speak truth.
Wow. I love that. That's pretty powerful. Okay, so describe to us, Aspen, a little bit about, we're grateful for the ability to be diagnosed so that we can understand what's going on in our system. So someone, let's say, has just, gone through that kind of a change in their life, and they are looking for options for what to do to treat themselves. So let's say that they find you and come in, and what does that process look like? How do you help someone understand the options that are out there?
Well, we want to know what they've done already, what has worked and what doesn't work. And we really are more focused on what's left. So are the medications they're on working? What symptomology is left over? What's working, what's not working? And then what would they like to see? Are they still suffering from sensory issues or anxiety or night terrors? So the process kind of looks like, I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is kind of a mini version of a test that we give people. And so it basically shows 8 different organs in the brain. And we want to look, instead of like a diagnostic tool that you might see at a psychiatrist's office, like matching symptoms up with a diagnosis, up with a medication in the DSM-5, we want to know what parts and structure function of the brain are not operating optimally, so that because there are different custom protocols that work better for certain brain types. So we like to type your brain and then create a custom plan for you, because even natural remedies can be overwhelming. If you go to here locally, we have a natural grocers and they have over 2,000 supplements. How do you narrow down 2,000 supplements into what would best work for you? So we want to narrow that down to 2 or 3. And narrowing that down to 2 or 3 just really helps. Hopefully you can still see me. I've got a little Samsung message on my screen. So narrowing that down to a palpable, consumable, affordable amount. And then there's still a little bit of trial and error, because everyone's unique.
Right. I love what you're saying about the treatment that we choose needs to be affordable and real for our lives. And like everyone needs that, right?
Yeah, I love naturopaths, but occasionally, I see them prescribing $200, $300, $400 a month worth of supplements. And it's great to go to a naturopath and do all the testing and do that. But I don't see clients really stick with it long term unless they just have unlimited funds and unlimited time to manage, taking supplements 3 or 4 times a day. So especially dealing with the clientele that I work with, a lot of them are like me. I was on food stamps, public housing, couldn't keep a job when I started my med-free journey. So it needed to be doable even without your brain being completely high functioning yet. And it needs to be affordable. And so we have items at our clinic where we don't turn anyone away, but we also have remedies that are as low as $10 a month that are highly effective, probably all the way to about $100 a month. So that's really something that almost everyone can afford. And we even sometimes sponsor some people to get them started on something if they're really completely indigent.
Wow. I love that. It's like true healthcare for everyone that comes through there. So tell me, shifting gears a little bit, tell me what started you on the med-free journey? How did you know something needed to change?
Well, the medications weren't working for me, and I didn't like the way they made me feel. When I was taking Depakote, I just felt like all the color had been drained out of the world. I talk about that a little bit in my book. Everything looked like those brown sepia pictures from an old black and white album, and there was no joy, there was no passion, there was no happiness. I mean, people who know me, my true self, my best self, my ideal self, they know I'm very passionate and emotional. I feel, I'm empathetic. And Depakote destroyed who I was, although it, for temporarily, although it did get rid of the manias and the extreme highs and the extreme lows, which I was grateful for. It helped me finish my last semester of college. I may not have graduated without the Depakote at that time. But 4 years of basically bipolar hell after my diagnosis, I had to find another way. And I talk about the vision in my book, but the Lord gave me a vision of lighthouses. I wasn't really happy with him at the time. I didn't even know if I believed in him. I was pretty angry at God during that time of my life. But I had a vision of lighthouses. And when my grandmother called me and said, "We found an experimental treatment out of Canada. I don't know if it'll work for you. If you will take it, I will pay for it." So I agreed to take it, and it didn't do hardly anything for 3 months for me. But the bottle showed up with a lighthouse on it. In fact, I have it right here. Let me grab. So
Wow,
this was the original. This was the original logo, and it has a lighthouse in the O, and it says True Hope. And so that was one of the things that worked for me. It wasn't the end all be all. This is kind of a little bit more what the brand looks like now. But for 3 months, I had to take a lot of pills, like 30 of these a day. And I wouldn't have stuck with it if it hadn't been for that vision. And I was out of options. Life was really, I was about to lose my home, my husband, my child. So it was not a pretty time.
So would that, would you say to most people starting on this journey that it's not going to be like a instant, like to hang in there because it takes time to nourish your brain?
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing faster results with better formulas now. I mean, it's been 16 years of them researching and improving. So I tell people that I work with, I say, please expect something within 30 minutes to 3 months and everything in between. Because usually by 3 months, we know whether they need whether they need the methylated formula or they need a different combination. Maybe this isn't the right fit for them, and it's all about them. It's not about any particular remedy or cure, or it's just about helping them find a combination that works for them. Sometimes they may have to take 2 of these a day, and that's where their sweet spot is. But maybe they need up to 12 a day. And that gets a little more tricky because up to 12 a day would be 3 bottles a month. So finding a balance between how much their body and their brain needs. Sometimes 3 is too much for one person. And sometimes 8 is not enough for another. Depends on how hungry their system is.
Wow. So it sounds like there's quite a bit of trial and error that you walk them through, like as they're on this journey. So what does that look like? How many times can they expect to come visit you?
You know, usually we can dial it in pretty easily in 2 to 3 visits. So someone usually might see me either 2 to 3 visits ever, or they might choose to see me more regularly for coaching, accountability, lifestyle recommendations, also sometimes some inner healing work, spiritual counseling. So it's really sometimes up to them and what they can do. We usually have like just a suggested donation for each visit, but about 50% of the people who see me don't pay anything at all. And we just get them on their way as close to the finish line as we can. And then I still have clients who haven't seen me in years who check in with me and just every now and then just say, hey, thank you. It's October. And I used to get suicidal every October for 30 years. And now I'm on my 3-year anniversary, or I've been med-free now for 5 years, thanks to you. You know, my son was a kindergartner when I first read your book, and we didn't think he'd be able to go to normal school. And now he's a 5th grader. I mean, and he's doing amazing. And this was one of the first children whose parents read my book. And they had already been, by the age of 5, in the system since he was about 2. So for 3 years, they had been to every doctor, tried every med, and even been to every naturopath and homeopath and alternative healer that they could get to within where they lived with the military. So it just works for most people. And it's a system. You know, we have a plan, we follow the plan, but we still have clients that are non-compliant. It's usually the rates of people it doesn't work for are usually the ones who don't stick with it long enough. And so it is a journey. I usually ask people how long have they been suffering and, you know, how many years could they have ahead of them? And what would they like those years to look like compared to what they already have looked like? And so really getting them to see that big picture of you might be fine in 2 weeks, or 6 months from now, we still may be making tweaks. But the medication community doesn't really have anything better to offer, because the medications may work for a time and then they may stop working. So medication management is a lifelong journey also. So to me, this one, once I found what worked for me, I know what works for me daily. I know what to do if I hit, you know, some stress or a crisis that could really throw my system off. I know how to stop a sensory attack. I still get sometimes in a movie theater or a restaurant, your cerebellum is like an input speaker. And so sometimes noises behind me or a baby crying can trigger what's called a central nervous system flare up. And so things like inositol powder, that's spelled INOSITOL. You can get it at any health food store. I don't sell it, you know, no. I take inositol powder and it just calms the central nervous system. Things like vitamin B6 for night terrors. B6 for night terrors can stop them in a child or an adult. So that's why it's important sometimes to have that conversation with someone like me to find out what you're dealing with, and then use our unique experience of working with hundreds of other peers to say, well, this didn't work for me, but it might work for you. So I don't just recommend things that only worked for me. We recommend things that didn't work for me, but have worked for other people. So that was a long answer, but typically 2 to 3 times.
Awesome. No, that was a great answer. And I really appreciate the beautiful, you know, testimonials and kind of what you've seen, you know, giving us an idea of what the range and what you see. So I'm hearing you say a couple of these natural things in your toolbox, like whatever, the powder you were just talking about.
We just call it the nice thing, a nicetol.
Oh, that's
it's nice.
And B6, and I know that you haven't shared with us yet, like your main, like what's your main tool that you use in your practice or clinic?
Well, I'd say two main tools. One is the testing, because it's very, very helpful. And Dr. Amen looked at 100,000 brains through SPECT imaging and blood flow, oxygen flow, nutrient flow, and he created the tests that we use. So I'm not a doctor, but we have an amazing testing tool that was created by, I think, one of the foremost brain experts in the world. And he charges $4,000 for that testing with the brain scan. We just use the test without the scan, but so we can do that testing. Some people pay for the testing, and some people just do like my mini test that I'm starting to do with everyone who comes to see me. So the full testing would be like a suggested $500 donation, but the mini test I can do with someone regardless of ability to pay. So the testing is very good. From the testing, almost everyone would get on this one because it's 36 vitamins, minerals, and amino acids unique to helping.
Hold on just a second, Aspen, we lost you.
The brain makes the chemical messengers that it needs to self-correct. So we're all made of the periodic table. Oh, okay.
Just kind of wait for it to catch up. Can you show us again? We said this one we couldn't see. You're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I said the testing tool, and then this is kind of one of our foundations, the same one that I've taken for 16 years. And the main reason is because we are made of the periodic table of elements, and this really helps replenish the signaling messenger building blocks that the brain needs to course correct. So I don't have to diagnose, I don't treat, I just know that if we give the brain what it needs to function, it will start to course correct. So, and we have enough scientific research behind this particular one. We have 35 medical studies. We have seen it regrow brain. We have seen it regrow rat brain after lobotomy. And so that's kind of a go-to. I also love natural lithium. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay. So natural lithium is amazing. Natural lithium is found in hot springs. It's found heavily in waters in certain counties across the country. They did a study of 52 counties in Texas and found that counties naturally high in lithium had lower incidences of violent crimes, learning disabilities, marriage issues, all kinds of things. So it was amazing to me that instead of fluoridating our water, if our water just had natural lithium in it, we would see a radically changed country. So we're depleting our soils, and we've got to get those minerals in. I'll give you my third one too that's really fun.
Okay.
Canyon, over on that table right there, will you get me that bottle of cell salts? Right there.
And then tell everyone who's watching how we can get it. Oops, sorry. how we can get a hold of you if we really feel strongly that you've got what we need.
Yeah, I love to give away as much as I can, like just information. And so I always offer a free consultation. Canyon.
Those people outside?
Yeah, go out and say hi to them. So this is called bioplasma cell salts, and it's a combination of 12 cell salts. It's very inexpensive. You can get it at health food stores or on Amazon. And it is very good for the brain. It's very good for colds. There's some really bad colds going around right now. People who have been downing these are getting over it probably 5 times faster, that long cold that's going around. Simple nervous tension, fatigue, headaches. This is like one of my go-tos. There's a really good book. If you are a geek like I am, I'm just a nerd. Yes, I read a whole entire book on cell salts, but it's pretty amazing. It kind of works on the concept of 1 drop of poison can poison the well. Well, we're made of water, and this is like a drop of health can poison in a good way, not the bad poison. A drop of health can correct the water and the cellular structure in our system. So cell salts. If someone wants to get a hold of me, I can be found online at aspenbrainhealth.com and on Facebook. But my cell phone is, and yes, I give people my cell phone, crazy as I am, 208-870-9238. And if I prefer that they text me or call me during regular business hours, if they need to get a hold of me on the weekend or something, reserve it for emergencies. So those are just kind of my boundaries on the giving my cell phone out. But I can always block a caller too. So if someone gets really insistent on me helping them 24/7, then I just cut them off.
Oops, I forgot to unmute myself. Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. So let's finish the call, Aspen, by telling us maybe just one, idea full of hope that you would have for someone that's, on the pathway that you've been on before.
I just really encourage people to never give up on finding what works for you. And don't listen to any negative voices in your own head or externally who tell you that there is anything that can't be healed. I have, even on the really weird side, I've seen so many miracles. There's a really great website called healingrooms.com. I know this probably isn't like a religious post, but the healingrooms.com, I've even seen people healed instantly and miraculously. So I encourage people, never give up, never quit looking for what works for you. And I expect miracles every day, whether it's through a natural remedy or even a doctor finding the right medication combination for you. Never give up, and never live with symptomology. So 0 symptoms is a reality, and 0 symptoms should be our goal. So that's really, and I've seen thousands and tens of thousands recover. So don't take anyone's word for it, not even mine.
Jeez, that sure was powerful. Well, Aspen, I just want to tell you thank you so, so much. I know that there'll be a lot of people that were on the call today. There'll also be more people that watch this recording over time. So we've just, on behalf of everyone who hears what you have to say and feels like their life is blessed, thank you so much.
Have a great day. Be salt and light. Bye-bye.